Before we begin, there's a link in the description to join the email list. Subscribers receive carefully researched ebooks, detailed videos showing real woodworking projects built step by step, and timber-focused material that isn't published publicly. It's long-form, practical work for those who want to understand wood beyond surface methods. Now, let's begin. The problems blamed on bad wood often begin before the first cut is made. Modern construction tends to treat timber as finished the moment it leaves the mill. If the dimensions are correct and the moisture content falls within an acceptable range, the wood is considered ready for use. What follows is a predictable pattern of movement, stress, and gradual failure that is often blamed on climate, poor installation, or natural aging. Old builders recognized a different reality. They understood that seasoning was not a box to check, but a process that continued after milling and often after construction began. The step that modern building skips is not drying itself, but the time and observation required for wood to settle into its role before being locked into a structure. The cost of skipping that step is rarely immediate, but it is nearly always paid. Seasoning was once about equilibrium, not speed. Traditional seasoning was not focused on reaching a specific moisture number as quickly as possible. It was about, allowing timber to slowly approach equilibrium with its intended environment. Air drying took months or even years because, time was doing important work. As moisture left the wood gradually, internal stresses relaxed, fibers adjusted to one another. Small distortions occurred early when they could still be corrected or accounted for. Timber that survived this period was known to be stable enough for its intended use. Modern kiln drying is efficient and consistent, but honestly, it's not a complete substitute for time. It removes moisture quickly, often locking internal stresses in place. Those stresses do not disappear. They wait. A common misunderstanding is that once wood reaches a certain moisture percentage, it stops moving. In reality, moisture content is only part of the story. Wood also undergoes stress redistribution as it responds to load, temperature, and restraint. Old builders allowed timbers to rest after drying. Beams were stacked, weighted, and observed. Boards that twisted or checked excessively were reassigned or discarded. The goal was not perfection, but predictability. Modern construction often installs timber immediately after drying, then restrains it with fasteners, finishes, and assemblies that limit its ability to adjust. Movement still occurs, but now it happens under constraint. Historic construction frequently used green or partially seasoned timber, especially for those big structural members. And, this was not ignorance. It was actually strategy. Builders understood how wood shrinks, and they designed joints that tightened as the timber dried. Old carpenters, they expected timber to show them what it wanted to do before they committed it to a final role. Warping, twisting, and checking. These weren't surprises at all. They were actually part of the selection process. But this waiting period, it's largely absent today. Production schedules, they favor immediate use. Timber is often installed before its internal tensions have really had a chance to express themselves freely. And once it's locked into place, those tensions, they emerge as cracks at joints, misalignment, and stressed fasteners. The wood isn't misbehaving. It's simply finishing a process that was interrupted. Not all timber was seasoned the same way. Structural beams, exterior cladding, interior joinery, and fine furniture each demanded different levels of dryness and stability. Old builders, they adjusted seasoning time accordingly. Exterior elements were often installed at higher moisture content with the expectation that they'd continue to dry in place. Interior elements, on the other hand, were seasoned longer to reduce movement in those controlled environments. Modern construction tends to apply a single standard across all uses, and honestly, that simplification ignores the varied demands placed on different components. It really increases the likelihood of a mismatch between wood behavior and environment. The step modern construction skips isn't technical knowledge, it's actually respect for time. Timber that is allowed to season fully both before and after installation, well, it behaves more predictably, lasts longer and demands less intervention over its life. Old builders didn't season wood because they lacked alternatives. They did it because they understood what happened when they didn't. If you want to explore this kind of material more deeply, including long-form explanations and real project observations that aren't shared publicly, you can join the email list using the link in the description. That's where the deeper work continues. Thanks for spending this time with Old World Timber.